Hey man, how's it going?
Oh, not too bad. It's been a nice day today. It's
Yeah.
actually, I almost feel like I could have wore shorts until the sun
Mm.
started to go down, and that
I've
made me
seen people
mad.
been I've seen people that have been wearing shorts recently.
Uh,
So you're behind on the curve this time. You
well,
gotta get into that. Get
if
your
I'm
shorts
inside
on.
the house, I have shorts on. I never wear pants inside
Outside.
the house. Yeah, and
Gotta
literally
do
as soon as
outside.
I get home from whatever I'm doing, it's pants off, shorts on.
Shorts on.
Yeah, even like when it was
Fantastic.
minus 40, I wore long socks because I just need my knees to breathe. I don't know.
Hilarious. And yeah, welcome back everybody to Bite My Shadow Metal Cast, episode 11 of season 4, the 30% Iron Chef. Yeah, please like and subscribe if you enjoy talking all things Futurama. And welcome back, Tristan. We got you. How have you been?
I've been good. Yeah. Thanks for having me back.
Of course, yeah.
I,
I've been
I fought
telling.
Anthony about it. I told him I want Tristan for this episode. He's like, no,
No, no,
no.
no, no. Yeah, it's annoying to bring him on. No, actually, it's funny because like we've been trying to get like you guys, right? Like we have Andrew and all this kind of stuff, and everybody's just kind of like, oh, I don't know if I can make it this time or whatever. So it's good. We've been able to get people on despite having to change times to record or something, but it's been nice. So yeah, welcome back, and yeah, let's get into our episode. So opening caption: if accidentally watched, induce vomiting. Yeah, fairly straightforward. Nothing crazy. I guess we all have to induce it. So we move on then to we're open on watching Good Morning Earth, right? Similar to Good Morning America, with Morbo and Linda, right? We get to see them again.
Love
Nice
Morbo.
opening thing. Yeah, everybody loves Morbo, uh, especially with all of his crazy things with like eating. What does he say? Like I will destroy her, like his wife and everything. So they're interviewing Elzar, right? Of course, this is kind of like a knockoff cooking show. I don't know if you guys ever watched any of those cooking shows back in the day, but yeah, we have Elzar kind of doing
Yeah,
like
yeah.
not cooking show. I suppose it's like a cooking segment that they used to do on the news. Maybe they still
Oh
do
yeah,
them in
like Good
like the
Morning
morning
and stuff like that. Oh
television.
yeah, they still do that.
Yeah,
I think one of my
yeah.
favorite ones was Robin Williams when he was on. We see her later in the show. What's her name? Martha Stewart. We
Martha
see her.
Stewart.
She
Yeah.
was on Martha Stewart a long time ago before Martha Stewart went to jail, and when Robin Williams was alive. And Robin Williams
A
is
lot of
just
things
such a
have
treat.
changed. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I know.
What a
No, he
darker
was a
world we
treat.
live
Yeah,
in now.
I know.
It
I
was
know.
But
just a little
yeah,
bit of tax fraud. Who cares?
Yeah, it's not like she, not
exactly.
like it was not like a violent crime or something. Like Martha Stewart didn't poison anybody, as far as we know. But yeah,
Well, she
no, that's
was
true.
good
It was
friends with
tax fraud.
Snoop Dogg, and Snoop Dogg was accused of some stuff, right?
And Snoop Dogg still shows up in Futurama too. So
Yeah.
maybe it's
Wow.
a
So
whole ring.
Futurama just has criminals in it. Whoa.
Whoa.
But like the nice
Yeah,
criminals, so just do some
sure.
small stuff.
Tristan, did you
Not
ever
like
watch
Bender.
any? Did you ever watch any cooking shows like this back in the day, or do you do them now?
Uh, Not in any serious manner. Like
Mhm.
when I had, a TV you could flip through, I would occasionally flip through one
Mhm.
of these shows, and sometimes they're quite appealing because the food looks delicious, but I didn't watch them in any serious manner.
You didn't like keep up with any recipes or anything? Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Nor did I. I don't know. I usually turned it off if I ever saw something like that. It wasn't really my thing. But you know whose thing it is, though? Bender. So here we have Bender is actually watching this himself because he's learning about the recipe, I guess, or trying to, whatever it is. But it turns out he's cooking brunch for the crew. So we see that Fry walks into the kitchen, sees what he's doing, and he says like, yeah, I'm cooking brunch for you guys and whatever because you're my best friends or whatever. The one or two times that we ever see Bender be kind of nice to everybody, it turns out he's like gonna kill them if he is doing anything nice to them. So Fry's like, oh, okay, I gotta go and warn tell warn tell the crew. So he leaves the room or whatever while Bender's continuing cooking. Now, I mention this because as I'm watching this episode, and I think Mitchell, I'm sure you can agree, and I'm curious to see what Tristan will say as well. This episode is like there are moments, but it's not as good as I kind of remember it from like way before. Like I think it's an okay episode. I don't think it's horrible, but it's not as funny, I would say, as like maybe like the current ones that we have been talking about in some regard. But there's this plot with Professor and his bottle, right? With the ship in it. This is like kind of funny, but it has nothing really to do with anything besides, a ship in a bottle.
Yeah, I actually did have the same thought that plot line in particular was kind of weak.
Yeah, it's
Like,
kind of a strange thing for this episode, right? Like there's a little bit of
yeah,
payoff at the end, but yeah, all throughout the episode, it's kind of a weird thing to
yeah.
throw into this episode, right? It doesn't really
Almost
mesh.
felt just like a filler. Like they needed like 2 minutes of extra dialogue, and they came up with that.
They
I
need
don't know.
something to do with, yeah, they need something to do with extra characters, or they need something like they needed a B plot. They needed something else to kind of take away from the Bender situation, right? Because it is mostly on Bender, so they need something else for other characters to kind of go towards, right? But in any case, it's
Mhm.
a very strange situation, right?
Yeah.
Any case, Professor's dealing with this ship bottle thing, and everyone's like kind of impressed, whatever. The person who's most impressed though is Zoidberg. Zoidberg really wants to touch this bottle with the ship in it for whatever reason. He's just fascinated. And the professor has forbidden him from doing so. He's like, don't touch this. Don't go anywhere near this. You're going to destroy it. And so he doesn't. Now, Fry comes in, tells them about Bender cooking, and they're all like freaking out. So they're planning to leave, but Bender catches them and forces them to come to the kitchen. Now, as they go, Zoidberg takes a second to stay behind. He picks up the bottle. He's like, oh, it's so nice. And he does a small little, like, with his little tentacle. What do you call that, Mitchell? Is it not a tentacle? Mandible, whatever that, like his face, right? Whatever those things are
It's
called.
a tentacle of some sort. Like,
Yeah.
I don't really know what to call it. Because when you think about it, crustaceans have an exoskeleton, right? But like it's very tentacle-like, which it shouldn't be if it has an exoskeleton, right?
He doesn't have bones, so it's like, very strange.
He's a weird hybrid between like a squid, an octopus, and a
some kind of
lobster.
crustacean. Yeah, like he's
Some sort
just
of
a weird. So you know what, Tristan? It's funny because like Mitchell and I have like argued about this before, and then I freak out and I just say, it doesn't matter. He's an alien. Like he's thoroughly an alien. He's not from Earth or anything. So he's just whatever he needs to be. He needs to move whatever he needs to move, right? But yes, he's like a mixture of all these things. And and like the main thing is like his crab claws, right?
They call him Lobster Man a few times, especially the professor.
They do, yeah. But Zoidberg himself calls himself, oh, I forgot I was a giant crab. Like he's like he says these things all the time too. So any case, he's without his mandibles, tentacle, whatever you want to think, the face things, plays with the jar and breaks the ship, and he freaks out and accidentally cuts it in half with his claw, thus breaking it completely. Tries to fix it, doesn't go over well, and he ends up doing more damage than anything else. So the bottle is broken. Zoidberg broke it. Now, as Bender is bringing everybody in there and he's showing off how he's kind of made this beautiful brunch for everybody, and it's not good. Obviously, it's not good at all. It is interesting. I don't know. I don't think, Tristan, you weren't privy to this episode. Mind you, I'm sure you've seen it. It's like one of the early episodes. But like
season 4, man, it's quite a far way in.
Yeah, well,
a different one. Sorry,
this is a different one. But do you remember the episode, Mitchell? The I think it's Bendless Love, right? No, sorry, not Bendless Love. What is it? When Elzar cooks them all that fancy meal dedicated to each one of them.
That was the one where Leela got blind and then she got 2 eyes, wasn't it?
It was the Elzar focused one. That makes sense. Yeah. So they're all doing
Bender
that.
Gets Made.
Is it Bender Gets Made? Yes, Bender Gets Made.
Oh, yes,
right.
sorry.
Yes,
that was the Mafia one.
The Robot
that was
Mafia.
the Mafia
Excellent.
one, yeah.
Thank you, Tristan.
I don't know them by heart. I have the Futurama wiki up in front of me.
That's okay. The point is that you had it there and ready to go. So yes, the rope. Thank you, Ben. What's it called? Sorry, one more time. Bendless Love. That's the other one. Bender Gets Made. Thank you. Bender Gets Made because it's the Mafia one. So
you're talking about his love of cooking, right?
The love of cooking, yes. So the in that episode when Elzar, because to apologize for Leela's blindness or blinding her during his like little cooking show or whatever, he makes them all that dedicated meal, and it's actually a very good meal, and they all have to pay for it in the end, despite the fact that they thought it was going to be free because he blinded her. But this is kind of a weird little homage to that, I think, is what they're trying to go for, or something similar to it, because he does something similar. Bender makes everyone a specific type of brunch. And if you look at the brunches that they all have, it's all kind of ironic to them. And the only one he explains was Amy's, because he's like, "Oh, you're cute, so I baked you a pony," and it's just like a leg of a horse. She looks like super depressed. But then if you look at Leela's, it has like 2 eyes. So it's like this irony of all this stuff. If you look at the professors, it's like these like organs and such, because he's old. And he always has it's kind of this weird little gimmick.
What's Hermes there? I haven't looked up right now, like at the table kind of thing. And yeah, you're right. 2 eyes with mush or something like that underneath Leela's.
Yeah, like they're all kind of ironically
Amy's got
placed with them. Yeah.
And Fry just looks like he has a rock or something like that. Yeah. I don't know.
I'm not. I couldn't get every single reference per se, but I thought that was interesting because I was like, oh, I wonder if they meant to do something like that. Like it was kind of just a weird parody of what Elzar did back in Bender Gets Made. So anyway, I just wanted to call that out. I like that as a visual gag, if that is indeed what they were.
I did not notice that, but the 2 eye thing is funny because she doesn't have 2 eyes. She has
2
one
eyes.
eye.
There's the one eye.
Now you're making me want to go and just like scroll through that one episode to see if like it is just like the gross version of those.
I feel like it's something. Yeah, it's just
because Leela had I know she had a salad. Oh no, she was eating the potted flour. That's what she was doing.
Yes, she was supposed to get a salad. She ate the potted flour from Elzar by accident because she was blind. Everybody else had like a decent meal. So I mean, besides the professor, I think he had like a steamed carrot or something. But
it was a bit spicy.
That he was old. Yeah. Fry had a burger. Hermes had like all the jerked meat. Like it was very specific to them, right? Any case, I was a little off track by that, but I just wanted to point that out in case anybody was curious.
Any meat this man can't jerk?
Yeah, that was his quote. Yeah.
So, any case, they all find their food disgusting. They all find different ways of throwing it away and all this kind of stuff. And Bender leaves and he goes to get them drinks. And as he's coming back, he overhears them talking about how horrible his food is, and it completely breaks him. He's so sad, and he cries and he runs away. And he even leaves a little note ticking off the fact that he's running away, and this time he means it.
What were the 3 things that he has? It was like suicide, running away,
suicide note,
getting a tattoo,
getting a tattoo. So it's a cry for help letter, and either any one of those 3 things that he ticked off, and at the bottom it says, "And this time I mean it." Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that because it's just if it's a very Bender thing to do, except for the tattoo. Bender. But like yeah.
So such a Bender thing to have in his locker, right? So.
One thing I noticed is it feels the fact that it was paper and pen, even though he's a robot, and right. You would think either it would be like, nowadays it would be digital. Like an app or digital in some manner, you know.
Yep, exactly. It's that nice, beautiful retro futuristic feel of the show, plus the fact that it was made in the early 2000s, right? But I do like also he is a robot. You're right, Tristan, but he does have the pen in his finger. So that is kind of
not just any pen,
technological.
Not just any kind of pen. It's like an old fountain calligraphy pen. Right? Yeah,
it's he has a very nice pen actually. So Bender runs away and he's all sad. He's even got like the little like the little hobo bag on a stick type of thing, like that whole thing. And he walks out of the and he leaves the Planet Express HQ and everything. Now, as he's walking, he needs to figure out like, oh, what am I going to do? Like I'm so bad at cooking. I need to figure out what to do with this. And so he ends up finding himself at Elzar's restaurant. So wouldn't you know it, he goes in, he finds Elzar. And I do like this actually. This is a bit of continuity, I think. They do have a history, Elzar and Bender, and specifically that Bender Gets Made episode that Tristan referenced earlier. And so this whole thing has Bender, begging Elzar, please teach me how to cook. I want to be as good as you or whatever. And Elzar says, absolutely not. I hate you. I hate everything about you. I don't want anything to do with you. And it's true. Elzar has a lot of reason to hate Bender. Out of everything we've ever seen him in, he has stolen from Elzar. He's like made him like almost get like blind somebody, almost get sued. He's run out on the check multiple times. Like he's done a whole bunch of things. So in any case, Elzar refuses and he kicks him out. So meanwhile, we go back and Zoidberg is desperately trying to fix this bottle. Okay. And I reference Zoidberg in this bottle thing because it does kind of play a role a little bit near the end of the episode. But he's trying to fix this bottle and he can't because, he's clumsy and it's glass and all this kind of stuff. So he figures out, okay, well, what would the robot do in this situation, meaning Bender? And he says, okay, I'm going to frame somebody. And who would walk in at that exact moment? Philip J. Fry. So he plants evidence on Fry, eats his shirt, gives him a new shirt that says I hate bottles on it. We get a nice little call to I'm Walking on Sunshine, Fry's favorite song whenever he's, I guess, I realized last time I think we heard him sing this was in War is the H Word.
Yeah, and it's when he's scrubbing
Kif, right?
Kif, yeah.
So it's whenever he's in the shower or whenever he's like washing something, he's singing I'm Walking on Sunshine. Usually. So
far it's 2 times, and that's 2 times too many to not be a coincidence.
Sure. But even in the future when we hear it, he's doing other things, I suppose. But as of right now, it's only been water related. It's whenever he's alone, I guess. Maybe when he's happy, he's just singing I'm Walking on Sunshine.
There's also his ringtone in the last movie.
Is it actually? Okay, that's funny.
Yeah.
It's also when he gets quote unquote sent off into space, like in the coffin or whatever, it's somebody references like, oh, he's walking on sunshine forever now or something, right?
The Sting, the Sting.
In the Sting. So, any case, Zoidberg sets up all these things to frame Fry. Now, cut back to Bender, and he meets a couple of these hobos. We've seen them a couple times before, or whatever, just walking around, voiced by the usuals. And they invite him to ride the space rails. And so they take this train into outer space and everything. It's pretty cool, actually. I like the Prism Central. I'm not sure. Have we seen this before? Tristan, do you recognize this particular train thing from anything before in the show? I think it's fairly new.
The near light speed train?
Yeah. And they go into the prisms. I feel like we've seen it before, but maybe that's in the future of the show.
No, I don't recall remembering it, but don't hold me accountable.
I don't know. It makes me think of like Rainbow Road, but I don't know.
From Mario, yeah. Sure.
Oh yeah, Mario Kart, yeah.
Okay, I feel like we've seen something similar to this before with that, but you know what? That could be a future episode. In fact, I think it is actually. I think I'm thinking of something else, but in any case,
it's shown in 2 episodes. This one,
I was gonna say, we do see it.
40% lead belly, which
that's when he becomes
the hillbilly, yeah.
Right. Yes. Okay.
Singer.
The singer, right? Yeah. So we do see this beforehand.
Comedy Central run.
That's right. Near the end of this Comedy Central run, I think. Yeah. So, any case, they jump off the train and they land on this asteroid thing that is called, what is it called? Base Alpha or something. Just a place for a lot of homeless to kind of congregate, and they all have like these little shacks and everything and fires, and they seem to be okay. They're just living on there by themselves. They're not hurting anybody. And while they're there, Bender meets Helmut Spargel. Okay, Helmut Spargel, this German chef, I guess, very old German chef. Turns out he was one of the greatest chefs of all time in the Futurama universe. But due to a problem with Elzar, he was ousted from his show, and he went temporarily insane and ended up in this place with all the homeless, and he's kind of been gone for a while. He just kind of cooks for them, I guess, and does whatever.
He did add, I ended up here making pies out of shoes.
Pies out of shoes.
Yeah. Fun. Now here's a question for you. And maybe this is before his time, before he became big, but was he based on anyone that sounds familiar to you at all?
Yeah, like the German accent kind of thing. Nothing strikes me there. How about you, Tristan? Anything remind you of Helmut Spargel? Anything with his accent or his look or anything?
I was trying to place that as well. I don't. Well, let's see if the wiki says anything. But yeah, he didn't.
It said that he's kind of was this is what the wiki says. It's like based off of Yoda / what was the other one? Mm-hmm. Just like a teacher kind of thing. But
yeah, he's that old like used to be great in something. He's this washed up old hermit that he's brought out of retirement to save the hero or something, right? Yeah. That kind of character.
But maybe just do you know who Werner Herzog is? Does that sound familiar to you at all?
That's the actor, isn't it?
Yeah, the actor. Yeah.
Yeah, that's way after this episode, though. Like we didn't.
Well, I looked him up like earlier today, and I kind of forgot everything. But he was a director and stuff like that. But just because it just sounded very like someone was doing an impersonation of him, and so I was like, oh man, that sounds like him. But like, yeah, this came out in like 2004, and he didn't really get big until like maybe 12-ish, 2012-ish or something like that.
I have a feeling it's a coincidence because that accent just happens to be very German, and he's very he's old sounding, right? Yeah. So I think it just happens to sound like him per se.
All I remember is just that he was in The Mandalorian season 1, and I wish to see the baby, and that was around for a while. Yeah. So that's where my mind went to for some reason when this guy said about it, like, yes, I could teach you the flavor.
He's also popped up in The Simpsons once or twice.
Oh, so yeah. I think
he's a fairly well-known actor,
like nature
voice
documentaries
now,
and stuff like that. Wonderful voice. Not someone who would want to narrate my life, but top 20.
You see, the one I remember is like, one day I'd just like to not put a gun to my head, something like that. Yeah.
So he's had multiple cameos, and I think in Simpsons definitely a few times. I think he got really big because of his voice, which is why I thought this I even looked up like, was it him? No, God no. I'm like, I thought so, but like it just sounded like
my my best guess. I mean, I'm always gonna go back to Billy West, but I'm almost positive it's not Billy West. I would guess it was David Herman. That's who I would guess.
It was David Herman. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Okay. Yeah, you've missed this, Tristan. I've just decided from now on, whenever we're guessing voices that are not the celebrities and obviously not them, I just say Billy West. Because half the time Mitchell's like, oh, it's Billy West. And I'm like, that can't be right. It can't be Billy West. He's like, no, it's Billy West. I'm like,
that's what IMDb says. So
yeah, they're good. IMDb never lies to us, right? So.
Oh, no. It's mentioned me. I've worked on like 2 things. I'm like, I've worked on like 10. So it doesn't have everything.
It's not updated.
It's not updated. Mind you, I'm not Futurama nor my voice actor. I'm a lowly little animator some time ago.
Back in the day, right?
Yeah.
So, any case, as Bender is listening to Helmut Spottergirl talk about these things, and he also, Helmut listens and finds out that Bender himself wants to be a chef, and he's actually quite interested in this because, wouldn't you know it, Bender's a robot. Bender can't taste. He can feel other emotions and other senses, but he cannot taste. So Helmut thinks, okay, well, without the problem of, well, quote unquote problem or whatever he says, the distraction of taste, maybe you could find the best flavor and you'd be able to become the greatest chef of all time. And it gives Bender hope. So they have this fun little, as we mentioned, like Yoda and everything. They have a training montage with the best. I can't remember who sings the song.
Tristan, you're the music guy.
Around. No one's gonna ever take you down. Like whatever the song is, right?
I don't know who did that.
It's the training montage from the Karate Kid. That's all I know.
Oh, yeah. I don't know who it is. I know who did the song at the very end of the show.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well,
we all should know who that is. Yeah. But in any case, you're right. So yeah, the best around, and they have I think this was if I'm not mistaken, so this is years ago. This is one of the reasons I wanted, because I know, Tristan, you chose this episode, but when I watched it again, I remembered talking with you. I don't know why. I don't know why. Years ago, you and I were talking about this episode, believe it or not. You won't remember this story, but I remember you saying something along the lines of they needed to get permission from Lucasfilm at the time, because George Lucas still owned Star Wars at the time. They needed to get permission in order to use the sound. And that, because he uses that little knife thing or whatever to peel the potatoes.
Peeler, yeah.
A peeler?
A potato peeler to peel the hover potatoes.
The hover potatoes or whatever, because it's basically taken. It's not an homage, but like a parody of like A New Hope, right? When he's playing with the droid or training with the droid and the lightsaber. So
I think I remember talking about that.
You remember talking about that? Okay, this was years ago, but I remember
there's
you saying
I'm also aware that the Hitchhiker's Guide movie also licensed it for the toasting knife.
The toasting knife. That's right. Yes, I remember that as well. Yeah. So I guess they had to do that a lot of times because why not? It's a beautiful.
It's such an iconic sound. Lots of people
want to use it. Thing.
They license it out for some money. It's great.
Like to license a sound effect, not a song, a sound effect.
Yeah.
That feels very weird to me.
But that's how incredible that is, right? That noise. As soon as you hear that noise, you're like, oh, that's a lightsaber. Immediately. Right? It's really, really good. But I do like that because then in the future, I think that they must have done that for quite a while because then that's what's used for their batons in the future, if I'm not mistaken. The police use the batons. They're like those lightsaber baton things. Do they not use the same sound?
I don't know because they turn. Is it the turning on sound or when they wave them? Because both are different things, right? Because when they turn them on, is that?
I think it's the turning on one because I think Fry also did it in War is the H word when he was when they were training because they did the same thing and then he broke the candy,
right.
Broke the droid and turned out to be a pinata or whatever. Yeah. So, any case.
I don't know. That's a very good question. I'm pretty sure they probably have. And guess what? Now they're both owned by a parent company, Disney. So it doesn't really matter. They can
use it whatever they want. That's true. Yeah. That's true. So
there is a benefit to owning everything. You don't have to ask permission.
That's true. But now you can't make fun of them either, right? So
well, they can. They just they're so high up their butt they don't like making fun of themselves.
Sure. So they finish the montage. Fun little thing of all these things. And so we cut back to the Planet Express headquarters. Now the professor is talking with a friend of his over the phone about this planet in a jar or planet in a bottle. No, sorry, not planet. Ship in a bottle. And
spaceship.
The spaceship in a bottle, right? And he turns around after all this time. He didn't realize, but then he sees that the bottle and the ship are broken, right? So what does he do? He summons everybody to the accusing parlor. We haven't actually seen this in real life.
I guess that's right.
And I think Tristan was here for this episode, right? This was the anthology of interest number one. It was number one, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
Leela was slightly
Leela's
more,
one, yeah.
Yeah, slightly more impulsive, right? This is the first time we saw it. So we have the accusing parlor, which is a real room in the Planet Express head HQ. Everybody's there, minus Bender, obviously. And so they're all like talking about like, okay, well, this is what the professor's like, I'm gonna say this is the person who did it because they've left this note and everything. And it turns out he blames Fry. And Fry's wearing his like I hate bottles shirt that Zoidberg put in his shower during his shower time, right? And ate his other shirt. So Fry's like, well, okay, I mean, I can't really defend myself, so maybe I did do it. I guess I don't know. So the professor has to charge him for the damages.
$10.
$10, all it is. And so Fry's like, okay, here you go. It kind of hits Zoidberg. He's like, oh my god, $10.
Yeah. The sad music is hilarious with it too. Like guilty. Yeah. Like it's like an old Russian like an old Russian like fiddle going, like some kind of like you are so guilty or something like that.
This is another thing. So Mitchell, you and I know Tristan pretty well. Tristan, when you're in a position where you've, I don't know, lent money out to people, do you feel a certain iffiness when you don't get that money back right away?
I mean, who doesn't?
I don't.
Good people do, Tristan. Good people don't get that feeling.
Well, it depends what you mean by right away.
Well, I mean, like, don't follow them home kind of thing. But I don't know, like maybe like a week or two or something. Do you have like, it's like, oh,
but I guess
that money's kind of on my mind.
Depends on what the terms are, you know. If you say a year, you know, that's totally fine.
Is that a year is okay?
For $10?
For $10?
Ooh, Tristan, that's a year.
So you buy me a couple of drinks, and then you're like, yeah, pay me back in a year maybe, or maybe buy me a drink, something like that, right? That'd be normal.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, that's good. Now,
all we're trying to say is that both me and Anthony have woken up in the middle of the night with Tristan holding a carving knife over us. Yeah, my money. I don't know how he got in my place. I'm 5 stories up.
Yeah, or we're woken up to text messages of like, oh hey, do you have that $5? So, any case, we jest, Tristan. Obviously, you're not that bad. Not really. So, any case, Zoidberg feels this guilt. Now, we return to Bum Base Alpha. Bender prepares his meal that he's been training with Helmut Spargle for however long it's been, maybe a couple days, and he serves it to Helmut. Now, Helmut says, and I actually do like this quote. He says, like, in order for you to become the best chef, you must serve at least one edible meal. Okay. So he gives him, Bender serves him the food, and upon serving it, Helmut tries it out. All the homeless are all looking around, everything, and everyone's like hoping for Bender. He tries it and he says, oh, it's acceptable. Turns out it's edible. It's all good. However, for whatever reason, the food ends up having a chemical reaction in Helmut's body, and his stomach is about to explode. So Bender's all disappointed because like, how my food has killed you. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm never going to be a good chef. He says, listen, don't lose confidence. You can take this. And he gives Bender a bottle of some kind of, as he calls it, the true essence of pure flavor. So it just looks like a normal vial with like some kind of liquid in it. It's whatever it is.
It's a pretty cool looking vial. It's like crystal vial.
So gives it to Bender, says, use this, compete against Elzar, take him down. His stomach explodes and Helmut dies. So back on Earth, Bender has vowed to avenge Helmut, despite the fact that he's the one that killed him. But he's going to take down Elzar. So he goes to Elzar's restaurant. He challenges him to a cook-off. And they're going to meet in the ancient televised thing called Kitchen Coliseum, which I guess is a real show. I never watched it. Tristan, have you ever watched Kitchen Coliseum? Do you know anything about it?
No, I haven't watched it.
Okay. Do you know of anybody that had watched it or watched something similar to it in the past?
No, but I think I get the idea of it, at least from the context of the show.
Right. You know, actually, would you mind explaining what is the context of this supposed to be? Like they're doing a cook-off, but what does that necessarily mean?
I guess it's a competition, and it appears to have almost been made. Well, and the judge is like a martial artist, black belt or whatever.
thought
So
that
I
was the
think it's
host.
like they're making it into a competition, and they're almost making it into like a martial art. I'm not quite sure how to explain it, but sort of like a formalized, sort of Japanese themed cooking competition.
Okay. And they have to use like some kind of specific food or something with every meal, something like this. Like that's like one of their rules, right?
Yeah.
So right. So whatever the case is with Kitchen Coliseum, and yes, they do have like a Japanese person who's very much Japanese. Like he speaks with the accent. He has a katana, all this kind of stuff, right? I think what's his name? Koji, I think.
Koji,
Chairman
yeah.
Koji or something.
Take a guess who plays him.
Is it Billy West?
No, it's not. It's David Herman.
I told you I'm not going to guess anybody else first unless it has to be Billy West. Okay, it's David Herman. Okay, so Bender and Elzar are to meet at this place, and they need to use correct me if I'm wrong, Soylent Green, which comes from a dystopic novel. Actually, I can't remember the novels. Do you know what the name of the novel is, Tristan? It's because Soylent Green is human, if I'm not mistaken. It's the poor that they grind up and they sell to other like the middle class and everything for their food, right?
Yeah, I think it was like I don't know the name of it. I tried to look it up, but I know the meme that Soylent Green is people.
Right.
It's from the movie Soylent Green.
Is
it literally
from
just
the 50s or the 60s? I don't know the.
Is it literally just called Soylent Green?
It's called Soylent Green. And it's made in 1973.
The movie. So
it's not a dystopian thriller film. It's probably from a book.
Well, it would say it was based on a book, right?
All right. Well, I guess that means I have to read it, don't I? It's loosely based on a 1966 science fiction novel. Make room, make room.
Thank you. All right, there you go. But it is an older one, and Soylent Green is the people. So it's funny they're referencing Soylent Green.
They did that a long time ago too. Like we saw the episode when Fry went to the Slurm World,
Factory.
Right?
Yep.
And
Fry in the Slurm Factory. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a joke there called it's called Soylent Cola. Really, how's it taste? Well, it varies from person to person.
Varies from person to person. That's right. Oh, that is a great joke. That's right. Yeah.
Leela's really good. Yeah.
That's really good. So yes, so they have to use Soylent Green in their thing. So this has become a normal thing. I also like that. Like it's, I don't know. This may have been just a coincidence, but it's also like Bender was surrounded by a lot of homeless people, and I believe the Soylent Green or like the poor or whatever that they've grinded into that. And so Bender's coming from the homeless bum base Alpha, and now he's gonna have to use Soylent Green in his food. Like where did the people come from? Oh no, we never see lots of those homeless anymore.
I never thought about that again. But we do still see those two homeless people. It's like Gus. Yes. And what's the other guy's name? I can't remember.
When I was a senator. Yeah.
Yeah. When I was a senator. Yeah. Something like that.
So, any case, they also have the judges, which we've seen before. We have Judge Bubblegum Tate has come in.
Love him.
From his planet to come do this. Morbo, right? Because he loves food, I guess, and he's come to judge. And our special guest star of the episode, Martha Stewart, before she went to prison. Or I guess after she went to prison, because she's now ahead. This is 1,000 years in the future. So
that wasn't actually Martha Stewart. That was Tress MacNeille.
Tress MacNeille doing it. Oh, it's not a good special guest star. It's not actually her.
According to IMDb, it's Tress MacNeille doing an impersonation of her, which I didn't know this until just now. Away. I thought it was actually her.
Me too. Blown away. Okay. Yeah. Not Martha Stewart. Tress MacNeille is wonderful. Really good voice actress. So in the stands, everybody, including Fry and all those guys, they're all cheering on for Bender. Now, we have a side gimmick. Again, I mentioned this just for the sake of the B-plot thing, because it's showing you how much Zoidberg is getting.
Oh, I love this joke.
Guilt-ridden. Any case, because they're at a cook-off, a guy's not selling like, the typical things you'd see at sports events, like maybe like a baseball or popcorn or any stuff. He's selling turkey basters. And they happen to be exactly $10. So what does Fry say? Oh, my turkey's always dry. I could really use a baster. And he's about to pay him, but he realizes he no longer has $10 because he paid it to the professor to fix his bottle. And he's sitting next to Zoidberg, who sees that he can't do it. Fry says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. I can't afford it anymore." And Zoidberg is still super guilt-ridden, and the music plays again. So we cut back to Elzar and Bender. They're going through their Soylent Green things. You have like the narration and all this kind of stuff talking about what they're doing. And Elzar finishes with his spice weasels. Bender finishes with his essence of pure flavor that Helmet gave him. And he says, "This is for you, Helmet." So after the tasting, all the judges really enjoy Elzar's food. It's wonderful, all this kind of stuff. They think it's a good thing. And at first, they're a little iffy with Bender's food. But after trying it and all this stuff, they love it. They absolutely love it. In fact, Morbo even breaks down his comment about even the inside, like outside the food can be ugly, but inside things can be sweet, referencing himself. He starts crying. So they have like a really emotional connection to this food for whatever reason. So Bender ends up winning the Iron Cook. He does a speech about, well, what's really important is being able to, cook for your friends and be able to do this stuff. And so he says, "I'm going to leave. I don't need to be the Iron Cook. I can be something else." I think he calls himself
like the
Zinc Saucier or whatever.
Which also
gets
comes
him
with
more money.
double prize money.
He just made up, and it gives him more prize money, and everybody's super happy about that. And as they're about to finish the show, Zoidberg runs on stage next to a Chairman Koji, who I remind everybody is carrying a katana because he's Japanese, I guess. And they're on the cooking show. He runs up and he admits and confesses, "I'm the one that broke the professor's bottle. It was me. I can't go on with the guilt, blah, blah, blah." Takes the katana and is about to commit. Man, I was going to look this word up, but it's a Japanese term. Do you guys remember this term?
Seppuku?
Seppuku.
Seppuku?
Seppuku, sorry.
Seppuku?
Not senpoku.
Right. Tries to do that. But of course, he's a giant crab / lobster / whatever alien crustacean you want to call him. And he has a hard shell. So the katana crumples on his shell and he destroys the katana. Koji freaks out. It says that was worth like $5,000. And Zoidberg blames that on Fry and runs away.
Fry did it.
So, in any case, the TV churns off. Turns out that the crew was actually, this is later in the afternoon or the day or whatever, they were actually rewatching it as a show and they're talking about it again. So Bender says, "Yeah, all thanks to my vial of pure essence." Professor takes a vial and he's like, "Okay, what is actually in this?" And he checks it out and it turns out that it's water, ordinary water, with several spoonfuls of LSD. The drug that heightens emotional euphoria, which is why all the judges were just simping over Bender's food. So they all laugh and they're like, "Okay, well, I guess Bender's like, okay, I'll just make some more brunch with some confidence in quotations," and they all agree to it.
Yay!
And that's how it ends. And that is the 30% Iron Chef. So, actually, talking at first when I watched this episode, I'm like, it's okay. But when you talk about it with people, I think it's actually kind of comes out better. Like it's actually pretty well written, right?
Yeah, so. It's a good written, just not super duper funny like a lot of things. I think we've had like 3 episodes so far this season that were like that, just well written.
Yeah,
nothing amazing. Nothing even remotely bad. Yeah, solid.
Aside from the B plot, I think like the whole thing.
I love the Bender
plot and everything. Why do you like the B plot?
Because it's about Zoidberg and guilt, and we all love Zoidberg and we all hate guilt. I'm guilty of being guiltful today.
But what
I ate some of my dad's pizza when I shouldn't have, and I felt guilty.
I don't think you did. But even if that's true though, like what is it about? Why the bottle and the ship, right? I mean, like it could have been anything else that Zoidberg could have had with guilt related to food.
Well, have you
maybe he ate Fry's food.
Have you never ever broken something by accident and just felt like, oh crap, I didn't want to break this, and like the person whose thing it is made it sound like it was the most important thing in the world, and then you broke it and you felt bad about it, like, oh, it's okay. It was actually my brother's or something like that. I just was jealous.
How many things of Tristan's have you broken?
Just his heart once or twice.
Yeah. Oh, Tristan's sad when his heart gets broken.
Yeah. And I feel so guilty.
So Tris, I think you're on a similar side of me when it comes to the B plot. You're not super strong.
I mean, it's a perfectly Zoidberg plot line, but like
for sure,
it doesn't add anything. It's nothing new that we haven't seen of Zoidberg several times before already.
True. And what did you think of the main aspect of the show then?
The main aspect is pretty great. Like, well, I don't know. It's a B. It's a solid B. Like it's nothing amazing.
Something.
Yeah, something like that. Mm-hmm. It's good. It's a consistent storyline. There's some interesting, homages. This one's a couple other episodes, like we mentioned, have talked about Bender's love of cooking, and this is probably the most detailed episode on it, I think.
Yeah, I think other than like the Bender gets made one, but then that's kind of taken away because he becomes part of the robot mafia, right? Yeah, no, that's true. This is really where we get to see more of that. And we actually got to see more of like even with his folk singing career as well, right? Like we get to see more in depth of that. So like the building up of like, oh, I really want to be a chef. And Bender even says he wants to be like the ship chef on that's his job on their crew, right? Like Fry's a delivery, Leela's the captain, he's actually the chef. Like that is actually his job, right? So we get to see a little bit more development of that. No, that is pretty good. That's pretty good. So yeah, I'd say this. I'd say the Zoidberg one, although I do find it funny, I do kind of think it lowers the grade of this episode in my mind. Like I'd put it like 6.5 to the 7 range, but I still think it's a pretty decent episode. And how about you, Mitch?
They probably flipped a coin on like who have we done something about like Hermes or something like that? Like let's roll a dice. It's Z Zoidberg. Oh, okay, we'll do something with that kind of thing. So
what do you think of the overall episode then with Bender?
Oh, I thought it was pretty good. Like there's nothing amazing about it. Like I think we said, like I liked it. The Star Wars references, him being kind of Yoda, the
that whole
lightsaber potato peeler. Thing, I do like that. And the hover potatoes, I do like that.
If they did have the intention of making that food kind of like the ironic homage to like what they did with Bender Gets Made with that kind of food, and it's all just a disgusting version of the things about those characters, I think that's actually really clever. Yeah. That's really, really clever. If that's not what they did and it's just kind of thrown together and just coincidence that way, except for like Amy and the pony thing, then that's what it is. But I think that's really smart if they did think about that. Okay, cool. So what about you guys then for your MVP favorite character, or sorry, MVP is the favorite character, your MVP, the best scene, best joke. What do you feel?
I think one of my favorite jokes here is when Bender's cooking and Bubblegum Tate goes, "I've never seen such confident, powerful strokes of the ass." Right, and Martha Stewart goes, "You've never seen mine." And then he goes, "No, I haven't."
No, I haven't. Yeah.
I love that. I love that much. And then I think my other favorite joke, which I still use every so often, is when I think it was Koji, who's like the narrator. He's not the host. He was like the narrator. And when he's going like, "Who will win? Whose food stuff will be the good stuff?"
No, that's not Koji. Koji is the guy at the front, like $5,000. That's Koji. Oh. You're talking about the narrator who's
Hiroki.
That's
Hiroki, sorry.
Hiroki.
Yeah, Hiroki. Yeah. My bad. I just read Koji and Hiroki.
So what does he say that you really like?
Whose food stuff is the good stuff?
Food stuff. Oh, I see. Okay.
Good and food don't technically rhyme together, but he made it rhyme. But I love that.
Whose food stuff is the good stuff? Yeah, that's true. That's a good one. Yeah. Fair enough. How about you, Tristan? Do you have a favorite scene or a favorite joke of the episode?
The scene I remember best from when I was, a teenager and saw this the first time, was when Bender meets up with the two hobos, and I can't remember exactly how to get to this, but they asked him if he's a robo.
Yes, and he mistakes them for saying Romo. He goes,
"What are you calling me?" And it's an interesting scene because the implication here, of course, is they called him a robot hobo.
Yeah.
But he interpreted it as a robot homo, right? Which is not a joke that would be made nowadays. Mm-hmm. It's very clever, the turn of phrase, the way they sort of hinted at what they meant and didn't actually say it out loud.
Yes. But it's funny because that's the second time they've done that joke as well.
Yeah. Is it?
Yep. In the very first episode, actually, Bender even says like, because Fry wants to be his friend.
Oh, robo.
And he's like, oh, we're gonna be he's like, we're gonna be robo friends or whatever it is. And he's like, oh, I don't want everybody to think we're robosexuals or something. Right? Yeah.
Probably the same person in the writing team penned the same joke. It's kind of the same joke, but
very well could have been. It's from the same era.
And they're both very clever, but it's like if they did the joke nowadays, 20 odd years later, he wouldn't roll up his sleeves in anger because getting accused of being a robot homosexual would not be an offensive thing, I don't think, for But I can't speak. Maybe Bender would still be offended, 20, in
Probably
2025.
probably not actually, because he was in a robo-human relationship later in the series too.
Yeah,
So
true.
probably
So
not.
he's
It's hard
open
to say.
to
Yeah.
alternative relationships. So that scene stood
Yes, to a
out the
lot.
most in my mind
Sure.
in both, like, because it's both clever and I didn't recognize
Different.
it 20 years ago, but nowadays it's like that wouldn't be very PC nowadays.
Yes.
Still clever, still clever. Um, the other thing that I noticed this time watching it was the quantity of like TV and movie tropes that they got in. Well, at least a couple. There's the sort of master and apprentice of
Yep.
Bender
The hero's
and
journey. Hero falls from grace. Yeah.
yes,
Needs to
and
find
That's Bender.
himself. Yeah. Yeah.
there's
And Bender
even
finds himself a lot in a lot of episodes, but yeah, this is
Yeah.
one of them. Yeah.
there's the sort of like whodunit murder mystery sort of trope, of course.
Sure. Maybe.
Um,
Even though we know exactly who did it or whatever, but yeah.
yeah. But at least sitting around in a room with a,
Mhm. Yeah.
accusation,
One of you did
the
this.
accusation room or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the accusation parlor. Yeah, for sure. Cool.
Yeah.
How
And
about your go-to character then? Do you have a MVP?
Bender.
Bender. Cool.
It's
And
all
I don't know
about
if it's
him,
a
yeah.
trope but I like that he is a master chef and he's missing the key sense to be a chef. The Beethoven comparison, I love that.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
Rembrandt.
Rembrandt and his wooden hands or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's actually true. I meant to look that up beforehand because I knew it's a joke, but I don't remember.
I think it is like has some truth to it or something. Yeah, he's blind. He has a wood. Well, I think he's blind, and so his wooden hand. I think he made wooden sculptures even though he was blind. But then I think it's the idea that he cut off his hands or something, and that's why he has wooden hands now, something like this. But yes, and then yeah, Beethoven and he's deaf, so he was able to make this compose. He's a composer and all this kind of stuff, right? No, fair enough. I think that Bender definitely has a good. Is that who you would say then, Mitchell, as well? Are you going
Yeah,
Bender because
yeah.
he's the not Zoidberg, even though you really like his plot line?
Yeah, I find the plotline funny, but I don't really think he's like the character of the
He's not
episode.
the key. Okay.
No.
Yeah. Fair enough. I'm going against you guys. I'm going to go with Elzar. I'm actually going to go Elzar for this one. But also because Elzar is an important key factor. He's the whole reason Helmut Spargle's in that place in the first place. He's the thing that made Bender go there in the first place. And he's like his rival, right? That they're doing like the Karate Kid or whatever. Like he's against him, right? I would say Elzar also has one of my favorite jokes and scenes when Bender's there to like begging him to teach him to cook, and he's like, first of all, your antenna's in my crotch. Second of all, I hate you. Third of all, you're the worst chef ever. And he's like, what was the first thing? He's like, I hate you. I thought that was the second thing. He's like, I knocked it up a notch. And he's like, I loved that scene. I don't know. That's one of the scenes in the show in this episode that made me laugh, I think out loud more so. So I just really like that one. I was like, Elzar's pretty up there for me.
It flows really well, that scene. Something about it works really well. Yeah.
It did. And then even when he's like, I challenge you to like a cook-off or whatever, and he says like, okay, but it seems like you're the one who killed Helmut Sparkle. Like, why am you blaming me? So I thought that was just really good. But yeah, I guess that is then the 30% Iron Chef. So do you guys have anything else to say about the episode?
No, the
Not
fact
really.
that Martha Stewart wasn't in it surprised me.
That is surprising.
Maybe she was in prison and couldn't make it.
This would have been probably before.
I think it's a little bit before, but actually, you know what? It may have been around that time.
This
I
is
actually don't know when
2004.
it was.
I feel like that was like
Yeah.
a year or
It's
two later.
It was like late 2000s, I think, is when she did
Yeah.
or something like that. But yeah, that's fair. So maybe she was already having difficulty, so they just used her likeness. But in any case, cool. Well, yeah, thanks again, Tristan, for joining us. I'm glad that you were able to make it on for the episode. Near the end, we were actually able to get you on there, so it was really good.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And yeah, thank you, Mitchell, as well, for joining me as always. And we'll see everybody next time for episode 12 of season 4, where no fan has gone before. And we may even have our last episode of the season and our last guest star being able to join us, hopefully. So, should be good.
Forever.
Anyway, yeah, take care, guys. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Yeah. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.